Okay, I think we'll get started. It's 10 a.m. So welcome everybody to today's webinar. The title of today's webinar is Coping with Change, Supporting Employee Physical and Mental Well-Being in Challenging Times. My name is Matt Lohr. I'm the Deputy Director of the League of Arizona Cities and Towns. And our session today is brought to us by Health Programs for Arizona Cities, Counties, and Towns, otherwise known as HPACT. HPACT is a league partner program, and it was established by the Valley Schools, and it's crafted for the unique employee benefit needs of Arizona's cities, towns of all sizes, as well as state administrative departments, counties, utilities, fire, police, and libraries, districts, as well as federal agencies, native governments, and more. HPACT offers full service employee benefits counseling, consulting, plan administration, investment opportunities, and other benefit services, including wellness. HPACT's employee benefits consulting is offered at a fixed fee that saves members up to 30% or more over traditional for-profit consultants. Before we get started, I'm going to introduce the speakers shortly here, but I just want to do a housekeeping note. If you have questions for today's speakers, please put that in the Q&A section on your Zoom, and you'll either find that at the bottom of your Zoom screen or at the top of your Zoom screen is a toolbar, and in that toolbar is a Q&A section. Please write your questions in there at any time during the presentation, and then the speakers at the end will take all of the questions. So if you have any issues or questions, you can always email league@azleague.org if you're having any technical issues, and we'll try to work that out for you. But again, if you have questions for the speakers, please put that in the Q&A section. All right, and now I'm going to introduce our speakers. Today we have two speakers with us. The first one is Riley Long. She is the wellness coordinator at Valley Schools. She works alongside a variety of schools and public entities across Arizona to provide health-focused resources to their most valuable asset, their employees. Riley knows firsthand the difference that a healthy body and mind can make on a person's mood, self-esteem, and professional success. She personally places this philosophy into her daily life by being a certified yoga instructor. Through fitness and yoga, she provides others with a place to escape as well as a place to put their intention. Riley has a bachelor's of science in exercise and wellness, and with a general business minor from Arizona State University. Our other speaker today is Sherry Gilbert. Sherry is the marketing director for Valley Schools and HPACT, and has been with the company for over 14 years. Sherry has a diverse background, having owned and managed multiple businesses, designed and manufactured merchandise, worked as a freelance writer, and is a published author. Sherry designed the initial framework for the wellness program at Valley Schools, as well as their customer satisfaction standards, and continuously works to advance the overall mission of the company to improve individual employee health and reduce costs for employers. She speaks frequently at regional conferences on various employee benefit topics, as well as publishing articles for regional associations. Please welcome Riley and Sherry. I turn it over to you two. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. I'm sure glad that you had to read all of that and not me. That was a long intro as far as the complexity. Good morning, everybody, and welcome. Thank you all so much for joining us here this morning and investing the time in your health and well-being. 2020 has been a year where our ability to have complete confidence in the safety of our surrounding has definitely been challenged. Yet here we are attending this webinar in the comfort of our home or our office, connecting virtually with our public sector family. We miss all you guys, by the way. Not being able to connect with you in person has been difficult. But here we are supporting each other and our communities. Have there been some positives this year? Well, I think so. We know that families are spending more time together like never before. The little things that used to be so important no longer seem so critical. We have learned how important our mental, physical, and emotional health is to overcoming challenges and managing our daily stress. Riley, do you want to advance it to our agenda real quick here? Maybe. There we go. So this is what we're going to be covering today. We're going to be exploring healthy practices For increasing personal levels of resilience, we're going to be learning coping skills, the importance of being consistent and flexible, and healthy behaviors that can turn the tide on how we view and manage change in an ever-changing world. Overall, our message to everyone who is joining today is that your health matters. We want you to have the tools and resources that can help you and your employees stay healthy physically, mentally, and emotionally. So with that, I'm going to pass the torch over to Riley to start our presentation. Take it away, Riley.
Awesome. Thank you, Sherry. So it's no secret that our lives have been changed due to COVID-19. So we've been asked to wear masks, social distance. Some of us have transitioned to work from home. Businesses have closed. Really, our normal routines have really been thrown up in the air, and we've had to adapt and cope with those changes. And this can be stressful. So like Sherry mentioned, today we are going to talk about different things we can do to improve our resilience and our ability to cope with change. So before we get started here, I am going to ask you to get a little interactive with me today. So if you'd like to take a moment before we dive in to grab a piece of paper, pen, pencil, maybe you can use your computer if you'd like, phone, whatever you would prefer to take notes, answer some questions on, take a moment and just grab that now. And so before we get started, a little disclaimer. So this presentation is for general information. It is not intended to replace your practitioner's recommendations. All right, so according to Webster's dictionary, change is not negative. So I provided on your screen here a few definitions, and then I bolded some synonyms for change. So for example, to alter, transform, change position, or replace. So when you think to alter, normally that's for the better, right? To transform. So from a caterpillar to a butterfly, that's to get better. Change positions, again, not necessarily a bad thing. Or to replace. Normally when you replace something, you replace it with something better or more efficient. So if you see here, change is not always negative. So why do we resist it so much? So in the past, change could mean a lion, as you can see on the side of your screen, sneaking up on us. Now, 99 out of 100 times, it was just the wind, but it paid off to assume the worst. So when we suspected that there was a lion sneaking up on us, we tapped into our stress response. We had heightened stress and heightened anxiety in order to protect ourselves. And over time, the human brain has been hardwired to tap into that stress response in order to, again, protect ourselves and defend ourselves against the unknown. So nowadays, it may seem, after a long day, stress may just simply be a full laundry basket, right? That could really be the stressor that puts you over the edge. So now, stresses aren't necessarily life-threatening, but we often react as if they are. So yes, change can be stressful, but why do we care? So the body is well equipped to handle stress in small doses. But when that stress becomes long-term or chronic, it can have serious effects on the body. So I like to compare this to exercise. So stress, just like exercise, can be good in small doses. So if you work out for maybe an hour a day, maybe you go for walks throughout the day, exercise within intervals. So exercise within small doses is good. Just like stress within small doses is also good. That's what gets us up in the morning. So it gets us to be productive, motivated, achieve goals within our lives. So we do need stress in our lives in small doses. However, if you compare that to long-term or chronic, so imagine if you were to run for 8 hours a day. It's similar to if you were to be stressed for 8 hours a day. So when you're running for 8 hours a day, your risk for injury is going to skyrocket. Just like if you were stressed for 8 hours a day or even more, your risk for disease is going to increase as well. So I do have a little video here for you that really just explains how stress can make an impact on your body in a variety of ways. So it really impacts the body as a whole, from mental health, physical health, emotional, hormone production. It really impacts the entire body and can really cause havoc. So let's see if we can get this to start here. There we go. I think it's going perfect.
Cramming for a test, trying to get more done than you have time to do. Stress is a feeling we all experience when we are challenged or overwhelmed. But more than just an emotion, stress is a hardwired physical response that travels throughout your entire body. In the short term, stress can be advantageous, but when activated too often or too long, your primitive fight or flight stress response not only changes your brain, but also damages many of the other organs and cells throughout your body. Your adrenal gland releases the stress hormones cortisol, epinephrine, also known as adrenaline, and norepinephrine. As these hormones travel through your bloodstream, they easily reach your blood vessels and heart. Adrenaline causes your heart to beat faster and raises your blood pressure, over time causing hypertension. Cortisol can also cause the endothelium, or inner lining of blood vessels, to not function normally. Scientists now know that this is an early step in triggering the process of atherosclerosis, or cholesterol plaque buildup in your arteries. Together, these changes increase your chances of a heart attack or stroke. When your brain senses stress, it activates your autonomic nervous system. Through this network of nerve connections, your big brain communicates stress to your enteric or intestinal nervous system. Besides causing butterflies in your stomach, this brain-gut connection can disturb the natural rhythmic contractions that move food through your gut, leading to irritable bowel syndrome, and can increase your gut's sensitivity to acid, making you more likely to feel heartburn. Via the gut's nervous system, stress can also change the composition and function of your gut bacteria, which may affect your digestive and overall health. Speaking of digestion, does chronic stress affect your waistline? Well, yes. Cortisol can increase your appetite. It tells your body to replenish your energy stores with energy-dense foods and carbs, causing you to crave comfort foods. High levels of cortisol can also cause you to put on those extra calories as visceral or deep belly fat. This type of fat doesn't just make it harder to button your pants. It is an organ that actively releases hormones and immune system chemicals called cytokines that can increase your risk of developing chronic diseases such as heart disease and insulin resistance. Meanwhile, stress hormones affect immune cells in a variety of ways. Initially, they help prepare to fight invaders and heal after injury, but chronic stress can dampen the function of some immune cells, make you more susceptible to infections, and slow the rate you heal. Want to live a long life? You may have to curb your chronic stress. That's because it has even been associated with shortened telomeres, the shoelace tip ends of chromosomes that measure a cell's age. Telomeres cap chromosomes to allow DNA to get copied every time a cell divides without damaging the cell's genetic code, and they shorten with each cell division. When telomeres become too short, a cell can no longer divide, and it dies. As if all that weren't enough, chronic stress has even more ways it can sabotage your health, including acne, hair loss, sexual dysfunction, headaches, muscle tension, difficulty concentrating, fatigue, and irritability. So, what does all this mean for you? Your life will always be filled with stressful situations, but what matters to your brain and entire body is how you respond to that stress. If you can view those situations as challenges you can control and master, rather than as threats that are insurmountable, you will perform better in the short run and stay healthy in the long run.
Perfect. So as you can see, stress impacts our body in so many ways, but what's important is how we view those stressors, more as opportunities and challenges, and not so much as stress. So far in this presentation, we've discussed what change is, why we resist it so much, so how it can cause us stress, and then what stress does to the body. But what can we do? So now we're going to dive into 7 different ways. Now there are tons of ways that we can cope with stress, but today we're going to talk about 7 different things that you can do today in order to cope with change. So the first thing that you can do is super simple. It is just acknowledgement. So acknowledging that there has been a change and then starting to bring awareness to your emotions, so how you feel about that change. So we need to let go of the past and acknowledge that things have changed. Too often, the reason that we get so stressed is because we don't really zero in on the real problem. So the first step to coping with change is simply acknowledging that the change has occurred, and then also bringing awareness to how you feel about that change. So at the beginning, I did ask you to get out a pen, pencil, piece of paper, whatever you have in front of you, just to jot down a few ideas, answers, whatever kind of resonates with you. So now we are going to practice the first step, so acknowledgement. Now this is going to be a really hard question for you, but what is one thing that has changed in your life recently? Now there are lots, but if you just focus on one, now this could be something that happened yesterday, this morning even, or a few months ago. So just start to acknowledge one thing that has changed in your life recently, and then write that down. Now, after you've written down that one thing that has changed, we'll move on here to another thing. So the second thing that you can do in order to cope with change, and this is stay positive. So this is completely up to you. So staying positive in a negative or uncertain situation is something that you can control through mindset and practice. So just like we said at the beginning, change is not necessarily bad. So change can be good as well. So it's important that we focus on the positive when it comes to that change, because there is a positive in every situation. So with that, I want you to think back or maybe even look down at your paper and look at what you wrote down. So what that one thing that has changed in your life. Now start to think about the positive things that can or did happen that have to do with this change. So for example, just like how Sherry had mentioned at the beginning, due to COVID-19, some people are spending a lot more time with family, they're staying home. Things that we used to think were super, super important all of a sudden aren't as important anymore. So start to think about the positives that have come out of your change. And then write those down as well. Now, as we had determined, change can be stressful. So in order to reduce stress levels and stress's effect on the body, self-care is a priority. So this is not optional. Self-care is defined as an activity that we do deliberately in order to take care of our mental, emotional, and physical health. So start to think about what you do for self-care. So oftentimes when we say the word self-care, we automatically go to bubble baths, wine, chocolate, whatever you kind of comes to mind when you think of self-care. But really take a moment and focus on if chocolate is going to take care of your mental, emotional, and physical health. Now, maybe if you're extremely stressed and chocolate helps you in that way, sure, I will give it to you. But really start to zero in on your self-care practice and just bring awareness to if it really is benefiting your health and your life on a long-term basis. So I have our 6 pillars of health at the bottom of your screen here. I've also included sunlight because I do feel that it is important to include here. So as I go through the description of each one of these pillars, I want you to think about one thing that you can do to take care of yourself within each pillar. And again, you're welcome to write this down as well. So the first one is fuel. So this is anything that you consume in order to fuel your body. So it includes nutrition, so food, diet, anything that you consume food-wise, supplements, and water consumption. Connect. So this is the sense of belonging you feel with others, yourself, so your own self-love and self-awareness, and then your environment as well. So both in your home, your community, outside in nature. Move. So this is gentle movement throughout the day, and then exercise as well. Reframe. So this is our mental health pillar. So our ability to reframe our mindset from a more negative outlook to positive. Mindfulness, simply being aware and present in the moment. And reflection. So our ability to look back and take what has happened in the past in order to learn in the future and create a better future for ourselves. Detoxify. So this is any toxins that you come into encounter with throughout the day. So any plastics, water quality, air quality, even people can be toxic sometimes as well. Rest. So this is the recommended 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night and relaxation practices throughout the day. And then sunlight. So making a conscious effort to get outside, to get sunlight throughout the day. Sunlight helps to regulate our circadian rhythm, so our 24-hour body clock that really controls everything we do throughout the day. That's why it's so important that we get enough sunlight throughout the day as well. So really just getting outside, connecting with nature. So just take a moment, again, maybe think of one thing that you can do to take care of yourself that falls under each one of these pillars. So I'll give you a few hints here. So this is our practicing self-care flyer. Just as a reminder that yes, we've all been going through a lot of changes and our routines have kind of been thrown up in the air and we've had to adapt, but good things can still happen in the midst of chaos. So these are just some tips, some reminders that you can continue to take care of yourself even throughout this time. So the first one is get moving. So let's say you had a gym routine. You went to the gym every day after work, it was great, but your gym closed. There are still ways to continue to move and continue to exercise during this time. Now, gyms are starting to open back up or have been opened. I do know that, but a lot of studios and gyms are still offering online classes. So I'd highly recommend if there's something you've been wanting to try, for example, if you've never done yoga before, kind of nervous about it, don't really know what to expect, now is a great time to try yoga, for example, in the comfort of your own home. So I would really encourage you, if you are thinking about trying something new, just simply Google, just simply search whatever exercise that you are interested in, and then try to find some studios that are offering free, unlimited virtual fitness classes, because there are a lot out there. Second one, fuel and hydrate well. So just like always, we do need to focus on what we consume, so what we put into our bodies. And then also getting the appropriate amount of water. So it's recommended we get 88 to 120 ounces of water per day. And even more than that because we live in Arizona, or half your body weight in ounces. Keep clean, so keep both your personal hygiene and your environment clean. So studies have actually shown that if you live in a cluttered environment, your brain and your thought processes are more likely to be cluttered. So you are not able to think as clearly as you would if you lived in a clean environment. Rest well, so make sure you are continuing or you're getting the recommended 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. And then not only that, but incorporating relaxation practices throughout the day. Practice gratitude. This can be something just as simple as writing down 3 things that you are grateful for every day. By practicing gratitude, we can actually rewire our brains to think more positive in a negative or uncertain situation. Get fresh air. So again, making a conscious effort to get outside, get lots of sunlight throughout the day, connect with your environment. This can really be huge when it comes to stress. Just simply getting outside and connecting with your environment can help to reduce your stress levels. Be creative. So if you have a hobby, whether that's cooking, painting, jewelry making, whatever it is for you, I challenge you to find something that challenges you to be creative. That can be a huge stress relief as well. Stay connected. So especially during this time with social distancing, it's important that we continue to stay connected, not only with ourselves and our environment, but with others as well. So there are a lot of virtual platforms. I mean, we're using one right now. So Zoom, GoToMeeting, Microsoft Teams, something simple as FaceTime, Skype, picking up the phone, sending a nice text can really go a long way in improving the quality of your relationships. So I definitely encourage you to stay connected. You don't know what other people are going through. So if you know someone that's maybe living alone right now, a simple text just to let them know that you're thinking about them and that you care can go a long way. Limit alcohol during this time, and then reduce media. So we do need to look to the media to get information. However, we need to make sure that we're doing it intentionally and for short periods of time because it can be extremely stressful. So these are just some ideas. So I've listed 10 here for you on different ways that you can practice self-care during this time of change and transition. Now, the next thing that you can do in order to cope with change is control. So focus on what you can control rather than what you cannot. So for example, I know there are lots of differences in opinion out there right now. So let's just say hypothetically, your friend said something that you don't necessarily agree with. So you cannot control your friend, their opinions, their ideas, what they said, but you can control your thoughts about that, your mindset. So whether they view that as positive or you view that as positive or negative, your reaction, so what you say back to that person, and how you treat them because of their opinion or what they said. So those are all things that you can control. Now, you may not be able to control what's going on in the world, people's opinion, other people, but you can control your thoughts, mindset, health, habits, and what you do. So it's important during this time to focus on you and what you can control rather than what you cannot, because there's so much out there that you cannot control. So I want everyone to take a second, once again, grab that piece of paper or whatever you are using and think back to the one thing you're changed, that one thing that you acknowledged at the beginning. Just start to think of things that you can control. And I've listed a few on the last slide if you need a hint there. And then list some things that you can't control. Just a few. And then as soon as you have your list, I want you to cross out the things that you can't control, because that doesn't matter. We're focusing on what you can control during this time. Because if you really think about it, there is a lot that you can control. Now, during this time, many of us have looked to social media in order to provide us with a sense of connection, and that is perfectly fine. But as a reminder, especially on social media, everyone puts their best foot forward. They put the best of their lives out for everyone to see. So you don't necessarily know the whole story. You don't know what other people are going through. So you may see your friends, family members thriving in this changed time. So with this change and this transition, maybe they're starting companies, maybe they're losing weight, whatever it is, just know that it's important to focus on you and not to compare yourself to others, because you really do not know what other people are going through. So focus on yourself, your self-care, what you can control, your thoughts, your positivity, and what you can do during this time. Next one is seek support. So know that you cannot do everything on your own, especially during this time. This is stressful for everyone. So this is not easy for anyone. So know that you are just as strong if you seek support during this time. And there are a lot of resources out there for you as well. So if you like to talk to friends and family about things, please talk to people that you trust and use them as your support. There are other forms of counseling out there for you as well. If you want to talk to a counselor, therapist, simply talking to someone can really help. And then journaling. So this is my personal favorite. It just helps if you have something in your mind, you really just need to let it go. Getting it down on paper can help you just to forget and let go. And you also don't need to share with anyone else. So journaling would be a great way to seek support, let go of whatever's on your mind. And then last thing is employee assistance programs provided by your employer. So I'd like everyone right now to take their employee hat off for a second and then put your employer hat on. And then as you do that, I am going to hand it over to Sherry as she talks more about what an employer can do in order to provide their employees with support at this time.
Thank you, Riley. All of those are excellent tips. I actually am writing things down on my own sheet of paper. I had a couple aha moments during your presentation. So I'm going to read this quote real quick. Coming together is a beginning. Keeping together is progress. Working together is success. And of course, that is a famous Henry Ford quote. But it really struck me at this time from an employer standpoint, how important that is. We physically couldn't come together for a pretty extended period of time in most cases. And we're still in a situation where we have to work together, connect, communicate, do all of those things, but in a completely different way than what we are used to for many of us. So I wanted to run through some items that might be helpful to you as employers to help your employees deal with the transition and change that's going on right now. I know we've got some HR and benefits people in the room, as well as some finance. But no matter what position you have at your particular employer group, city or town or county, we all have a responsibility to help our fellow employees, right? So wanted to go through a few tips that might be helpful to you to put into practice some of the items that Riley is teaching us about today. Number one is to create a culture of caring. Most cities and towns that I know, school districts, they typically do have, some programs in place on the wellness side. But now more than ever is really a time to look at delivering information to employees consistently and making sure that what you are putting out there for your employees and the way that you are communicating really does show them that you care. So now it's more important than ever to do that. That could be emails, that could be your wellness application if you have one, your wellness program. It could be direct text messaging if you have that opportunity to do that, or a dedicated web page either on your intranet or separately that you can post inspirational stories, employer updates, and resources. And you might even consider a weekly push notification for your employees or short video clips as well. Another helpful thing is to really designate a key contact or department. I know that almost always falls to benefits and HR. We wear a lot of hats in benefits and HR, but it really is helpful if your employees know who to go to be able to address concerns or questions that they have. Obviously, this person really needs to be HIPAA trained. If they're in benefits and HR, they already are HIPAA trained, or they should be HIPAA trained. So you don't want to obviously get into the business of providing medical advice to your employees, but you want to be able to have a one-stop shop resource to be able to message or provide information to your employees to where they can access the care and assistance that they need. So we already mentioned this, but I'm going to say it more than once because it's really important. Making all of those resources that you're wanting to provide easily accessible. So that's really important. Again, if it's your intranet, just make sure that you keep that updated. If it is an application, if you have an outside vendor that is delivering that information, make sure that you are in communication with them regularly and are providing them all of those updated resources as you receive them. And we're going to talk a little bit more of some of those resources that you should be accessing for free in most cases to provide your employees. And then to provide those resources on a regular basis. If you're anything like most other groups that I work with, a lot of employees don't read emails. They either get immediately moved over to their delete box, or their spam catches it. So the more that you can message to your employees, especially at this point in time, the better. You really can't do it too much right now. Weekly is really a good rule of thumb. And then in a time frame when we don't have a crisis going on, a health crisis going on, once a month could be completely adequate for your particular municipality. So that's totally up to you and the culture of your group to determine. But the more they see it right now, the better, so that those resources are typically always in front of them and they know where to go. So Riley, you want to advance it to our next screen, please? All right, so all of this really is about making connections between you and your employees and with each other among your employee population as well. So Riley mentioned this in her slide, employee assistance programs. Almost every group does have an EAP. That's the short version of what we call that. A lot of times it's tied into your benefit carrier. So whether you have Blue Cross, United, Cigna, Aetna, or another program, most of them do have an EAP component to that. This is really important. Most employees don't know that they have an EAP, so being able to get that information out to them on a regular basis is incredibly important. Most EAPs will be able to help members with multiple aspects, whether that's one-on-one, face-to-face, or virtual counseling, whether that's financial counseling, elder care, 24-hour nurse line, triage care, in the example of an employee needing to know where to go, whether they should go to the urgent care, ER, to their regular doctor. All of those are things that the EAP typically will help you with. And if you do not have an EAP currently in place, then I would strongly suggest you, talk to your benefits in HR, or if you are benefits in HR, discuss internally in your group and make sure that you are looking at this option if you do not have one. A lot of groups also have a standalone option for an EAP outside of the carrier. And those are excellent programs as well and provide a lot of the same resources. So behavioral health programs, that's another component to your health program. It's usually separate from the EAP, although they can work together for referrals. That does work. It does work in that fashion a lot of the time, but making sure that your employees know that they do have a behavioral health program. And then, of course, a lot of times there's a stigma related to the behavioral health program with employees. So one of the things to message out in what you are providing, either on that intranet or the emails or whatever your delivery method is to make sure you continue to tell them that it, especially with the EAP and the behavioral health, that it is absolutely confidential. The employer does not get any personal information on anything that you were sharing with a counselor or a nurse in either one of those programs. You don't have to go into details as to, you, as an employer, you do get some aggregate data, but it does not come with names. You cannot identify anybody. HIPAA prevents all of that. So having a nice little short blurb and everything that you send out related to the EAP or behavioral health, that your information is 100% confidential and protected, is really important, because there still is a bit of a stigma attached to that, we have found in commercial and public sector. So just an important thing to make sure that you're letting them know. So ancillary programs. Most groups do have ancillary vendors, your critical care, voluntary programs, a short-term disability, voluntary life. A lot of times those vendors also will have additional programs available to you, training, for instance, that is at no cost. So definitely talk to your ancillary providers and ask what they have available, especially in 2020 with COVID. I know that a lot of them have had resources and webinars available almost weekly, some designed for the employers directly and some designed for employees. So it's a good thing to reach out to them and ask. And then, of course, your community resources, know what is out there and available to help empower your employees. I know a lot of you probably already do this. This might be free COVID testing, family fun nights for, drive-in theaters or virtual workouts, like Riley had mentioned. There are a lot of things out there in our communities right now that are being provided. And those are always great things to also communicate out to your staff. so that they understand that you do care and that you really are trying to help them through a very difficult time. Deliver regular virtual opportunities to support their needs, like what we're doing today. So today is a great example of a self-help webinar that can be very important to your staff and employees. And HPACT and Valley Schools has these available. So do other vendors as well. And you might even have an opportunity to do some of these internally. If you have an audio and visual department at your particular employer, you can develop some short or longer opportunities to help communicate to employees. And one thing that's important is you don't have to be the expert. You can either connect with an expert to partner with you to do these things, or sometimes even just a short personal clip from senior leadership or benefits and HR on a topic that you know is important to your employees. That can go a long way also to helping employees recognize that you care and to deliver really important information that you would like them to know and personalize it. So you don't have to be the expert, but you still have an opportunity to do some of these short videos to employees to help them and to create that connection with your entire staff, even if you were still in a primarily virtual environment. Another great thing to do if you have an audio and visual team is animated. Animated videos are and short clips are really fun to use as well if you have an opportunity to do that. So I already kind of mentioned this, but I'm going to say it one more time. Make sure that you are leveraging your benefit carriers and your community partners. Even your financial advisors, a lot of them will have seminars on financial wellness. I think the financial aspect of what has transpired this year, while it is very important, a lot of our news and things that we are listening to daily obviously are centered around our physical health, and our mental health too is beginning to be discussed, which is good. But the financial health and financial needs of our employees has also been very challenging, and I know in our community in general. So that is one aspect not to be overlooked. So even being able to provide them a webinar on financial health and ways and tips and tricks to reframe, as Riley had mentioned earlier, in this particular environment would be really healthy and a really good supportive thing to offer your staff and employees. So those are just a few ideas. I will say there are some really good online programs and vendors that can deliver employee-facing communications. So if I didn't want to do a whole slide on those today and go through all of those, but if any of you want some resources, or I don't want to make a direct recommendation, but I can give you a list of different companies that we are aware of that can do that delivery informational delivery to employees, and not anyone that we're associated with. They're not vendors that HPACT and Valley Schools are contracted with. But if you need a place to start, feel free to email me. My email is at the end of the presentation, and I would be happy to provide you that list. All right, Riley, I'm going to turn the controls back over to you.
Perfect. Thank you, Sherry. Awesome. So yeah, as you can see, there are tons of different ways, both as an employer and employee, that you can seek support. So our last thing out of our 7 ways to cope with change is just to simply show yourself compassion. So sometimes we can be our biggest critic, and we can make things a lot harder on ourselves. So it's important during this time, know that everything's going through these changes together. So you are doing the best that you can every day. And so it's okay to give yourself a break once in a while. So just show yourself compassion, know that you are doing the best that you can during this time. It's probably the biggest and most important one that we go through, or that we went through. So to recap, we talked about 7 different ways that you can cope with change. So acknowledging that there has been a change, practicing self-care, focusing on what you can control rather than what you cannot, showing compassion to yourself, don't compare yourself to others, seek support when needed, and be positive. So these are just 7 ways that you can cope with change. Now, if you're anything like me, you're probably thinking, yes, this is great. Like, I'd love to do this. I have my goals out, but overall, it's easier said than done, right? So for example, be positive. It'd be great if we could just wake up one morning with a positive attitude. Today's gonna be a great day. I'm positive now. But unfortunately, it does not work like that, and it is a practice. So now we're going to kind of shift gears and then focus on kind of some smaller things that we can do in order to start accomplishing these goals. So there are 3 strategies that we're going to talk about now: mindfulness, reflection, and reframing. So I've mentioned these a little bit at the beginning, but now we're really going to dive into each one individually. So those 3 strategies can actually create physiological changes in the brain. So they work to strengthen it. They've been shown to improve both physical and mental health, improve your ability to focus, intelligence, and creativity. And they also help you to put you in a relaxed state, therefore improving how you handle stress. So we'll start with mindfulness. Mindfulness actually keeps the prefrontal cortex of the brain. So this is the newest part of the brain. It's located behind the forehead. It keeps it activated, and it prevents older, more instinctual parts of the brain from controlling our thoughts and behaviors. So overall, the brain is a muscle, and mindfulness works to strengthen its critical ability. So mindfulness is defined as the technique where the individual focuses his or her full attention on present thoughts, feelings, and sensations without judgment. So simply bringing awareness to the present moment. So I want everyone to take a moment here and just simply close your eyes. Now imagine if I were to ask you to describe your typical commute. So whether you're working from home or going to the office, we've all driven to work before, I'm sure. So if I were to ask you to describe every single detail of that commute, could you do it? Was the light red or green? Did you turn right, left? What cars did you pass? Was the car hot or cold? Could you explain every detail of your commute to me? And a lot of us would probably say no. The typical commute is characterized by maybe thinking about what you're going to do when you get to work, thinking about what you left at home. Maybe you're replaying past events. Maybe there's something you just cannot get off of your mind. We are in autopilot oftentimes when commuting to work. We don't even realize if the light was red or green if we were to think back and reflect on it. So my challenge to you, moving forward, you do have some homework here. I'm very sorry, but you do have some homework. But I challenge you on your next commute, whether that's to work or really anytime you drive anywhere, just challenge yourself to be more mindful. So start to notice maybe the connection between your body and the seat. Notice how the steering wheel feels in your hands, the climate of the car, the cars around you, the scenery, the music maybe, or the radio, whatever you're listening to, your emotional state at that time. Just start to bring awareness to every moment when you're driving. And then start to notice a change in how you feel when you do arrive. So that is my homework for you moving forward, just to practice mindfulness, whether you're driving or really when you're doing anything. So there are many different ways, other than just simply bringing awareness, to practice mindfulness. Now, you may have a mindfulness practice of your own. So I've just listed a few here, a few of the big ones. So meditation, yoga, breathing, journaling, and just simply bringing awareness, which we just discussed. So what if I told you that there was something that you could do to make you more positive, focused, productive, increase your energy, and lower your stress levels? So meditating for only 5 minutes, that's just 5 minutes, we all have time for that, can improve your immune system, everything that I've just mentioned, and help you to sleep better as well. So some common misconceptions when it comes to yoga, or not yoga, but meditation, is that you have to be seated on the ground, legs crossed, in complete silence, or maybe some spa, relaxing music. You have to have your eyes closed. You have to do deep breathing, maybe some ohms, maybe a gong. When in reality, meditating can be done anywhere at any time. So hormonally, meditation increases your serotonin and dopamine production, so those feel-good hormones and mood-regulating hormones. So like I said, meditating can be done anywhere at any time. There are also different types of meditation. So maybe you've tried meditation before and you're, no, not for me. I encourage you to look into maybe different types. Maybe some things that you don't maybe think are known as meditation. For example, mantra meditation. This is the practice of just repeating a word or a phrase. Manifest meditation is the act of creating a life that you love. And then mindfulness, bringing awareness to the present moment. Bringing awareness to the present moment can be done right now. It can be done while driving, at home, before bed, at the dentist. It can really be done anywhere, at any time. So I do have a quick little true or false quiz for you to make sure you're paying attention here. So meditation can be done anywhere, anytime. It's a trick question here, I'm just kidding. The answer to that is true. So it can be done anywhere at any time. Number 2, the goal of meditation is to clear your mind of all thoughts, true or false. The answer to that is false. So the goal of meditation is not to clear your mind of all thoughts, but to simply bring awareness to them. So when you do meditate, especially if you've never tried it, your mind may start to wander. I know that that is perfectly normal. Our brains are created in order to do that. So that is perfectly normal. Our brains do that. But meditating is just simply bringing awareness to the fact that, oh, now I'm thinking about what I have to do later on, and then bringing it back to the present moment. So the answer to that one is false. Now reflection. So the only way out is in. Now, as you'll see here on your screen, there's a car's side mirror. So when you're driving, you're looking forward, right? Just like we should always be looking to the future. But our cars have side mirrors and rear view mirrors in order to keep us safe. So just like in life, we are moving forward. We should spend most of our time focused on the future, but we do need those side mirrors to make sure nothing's behind us and make sure that we are safe. So reflection is important, to look behind you and maybe start to notice things that you did, maybe your mindset, your reactions to certain situations, and then learn from those situations in order to improve upon your future. So yes, looking forward is the goal, but just like driving, we do need to look in those mirrors, especially if we're changing lanes or making a big life decision. Those are why we need to reflect back, but make sure we do it intentionally and at short periods of time. So reflection has been shown to increase emotional intelligence and self-awareness. So by taking the time to look in, you gain a better understanding of your emotions, strengths, weaknesses, and driving factors. So why you do what you do to really bring or to make yourself more self-aware. So the definition of reflection is it brings awareness to the positive or negative impact of one's mindset in the past to improve upon future circumstances. So how do we practice reflecting? So if you start to reflect back on the past, you may get stuck replaying a certain situation. So it's important that we do this intentionally when we practice self-reflection. It's important with any goal that you start small. So maybe you schedule a time to reflect, only a few minutes every day, and do it in a way that works best for you. So with your lifestyle and who you are as a person, whether that's maybe talking with someone. Like Sherry had mentioned, there are a lot of resources out there for you when it comes to seeking support. So if you need support, those resources are there. If you need to talk to someone or whatever it is for you, or talk it out, or maybe write it out. So journaling is a great way to reflect for only just a few minutes a day and doing it intentionally. So if you do choose to do this, I provided a little prompt here on your screen, just a few questions you can ask yourself every day. And also that kind of focus on the positive. So think back to something that you accomplished. This could be something really, really big or something small. As simple as I woke up 5 minutes earlier than I usually do this morning, and I want to start waking up earlier. So what I accomplished, I woke up 5 minutes earlier. What is important about this? It is a little step towards my goal. When and where could I do this again tomorrow? Are there any patterns in my behavior while doing this? My mindset. I was determined to wake up, and that is why I did it. What could be done differently? Maybe I wasn't as productive right away as I wanted to be. And how can I use what I learned in the future? So take a moment. You can answer these questions. Or you can at least write these questions down and save them for a later time. But just asking yourself these questions can really help you to acknowledge that you did accomplish something, but maybe changes can be made in order to make that accomplishment even better in the future. And you're welcome to also take a picture of the slide if you'd like as well. The next one is reframe. So this is one of my favorite quotes because I feel like a lot of people can relate to it. So my life has been filled with terrible misfortunes, most of which have never happened, by Mark Twain. So ask yourself for a moment, are you a worrier? Are you constantly worrying? Are you constantly assuming the worst in any situation? So by practicing reframing, we can shift unfavorable thoughts to unveil an overall improved perspective over time. So we can increase the positive and decrease unnecessary stress, the stress we can create in our minds. The stress that isn't even there, but we are creating it. So if you answered yes to worrying, know that that is perfectly normal. So there's nothing wrong with that. The brain is actually designed or biased towards a negative outlook to keep us safe. So we automatically assume the worst is going to happen because that way we can be prepared for the worst. But there is hope. We do have the ability to change that. So we do have the ability to think positively in every situation. However, that is a practice. So simply bringing awareness to your thought processes as maybe you're entering into a new situation where you don't know anyone, this is new, you don't know what to expect, it's very uncertain. But instead of thinking about the negative, the worst possible thing that could happen in this situation, we can take a moment and breathe and then reframe our mindset to focus on the positive. So I do have one last activity for you. So to bring it all full circle with COVID-19, how can you see this experience differently? So thinking back to our methods of coping with change, how can you think positive? How can you practice self-care during this time? What are different ways that you can seek support? Acknowledge the change. Focus on what you can control. So start to bring mindfulness into this moment and start to see how you can experience this situation differently. Because there are positives to every situation. There is a silver lining. It's just a matter of seeing that. And maybe jot down your positive things as well. All right, so far we've discussed 7 ways to cope with change and then different ways to accomplish those goals and relieve stress. So what are your 5 takeaways from this presentation? Maybe they're goals, maybe it's just something that resonated with you. Maybe it's something you've already written down and you just want to highlight it. So just take a moment and think of 5 things that you can take with you as you continue on to the rest of your day and things you can implement into your life in order to relieve stress and improve your health. And this could also be something that you want to do in order to support your employees as well. So just 5 takeaways from this presentation. Now, if you did write down a goal, we always look for SMART goals, so something that's specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely, but also something that's, again, sustainable, so something that you enjoy and fits within your lifestyle. Again, if you did write down a goal, make sure that you do celebrate small successes along the way. That's the #1 way to accomplish your goals. So even if you haven't accomplished it yet, but you're making baby steps towards that goal, please take a moment to celebrate those small successes. So we talked about self-care. We talked about the benefits of meditation. So I do have a meditation for you. So whenever you are ready, so take your time. If you're still writing things down, that is perfectly fine. But wherever you are at right now, whether you're at home, the office, start to find a comfortable seat, maybe lay down if you can. Maybe close your eyes, start to relax. Begin by taking a deep breath and hold it for 5 seconds. Exhale and relax. Take another deep breath, as deep as you can, and hold it. And as you exhale, just imagine blowing out all of your stress. Take a third deep breath in and hold it. And as you exhale, blow out any stress that you've been holding on to. This is your new solution to stress. Whenever you become stressed in the future, you can simply take 3 full deep breaths in, hold at the top for 5 seconds, and when you exhale, blow out any stress that you feel. Allow the stress and tension to exit your body. On the third breath, as you exhale, simply say to yourself, relax now. Now begin to slowly blink your eyes with each number I say. Blink once, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. Allow your eyes to gently close. When you do this, feel a wave of relaxation sweep over you. Now focus on the sensation at the top of your head. Notice how the very top of your head feels. And now let your focus move down to your eyes. Notice how your eyes feel and ask them to relax even more. The little movement in your eyes is called rapid eye movement, and it is completely normal. These small eye movements allow you to feel calm. Notice how the back of your head feels against the surface that it is touching or that it isn't touching. How heavy does your head feel right now? Let your focus move to your nose and feel the slight sensations of the air moving in and out with your breath. When you breathe in, imagine you are being filled with calmness. And when you breathe out, imagine your body feels heavy and deeply relaxed. Now focus on your ears. Notice how they feel and what they hear around you. Try to hear every single noise. When sounds come into your ears, they act as little waves of relaxation, taking you even deeper. Notice the sound of my voice. From here forward, you can only hear my voice guiding you. All other sounds passing through only take you deeper into a state of relaxation. Now notice your mouth. How does it feel? And what do you notice? Can you sense the flavor of something you've recently tasted? Perhaps you imagine biting into a fresh slice of lemon, and you notice how your mouth waters. Now move your focus down to your neck. And if there's any tension, just ask it to release a little more. Notice how your neck feels right now. And just start to feel all of the sensations in your neck. Now focus on your shoulders and move your attention slowly going down each arm, down all the way to your fingertip. What are your fingertips touching right now? Feel the sensations on your fingertips. Allow your focus to go to your chest, relaxing this area, as well as your upper back. If you notice any tension, just ask it nicely to release just a little. Now imagine you are focusing on your heart and feeling it beat strongly, supporting you. Relax your heart and notice how it feels to do so. Now bring awareness to your lungs. Feel them gently expanding and contracting with your breath, delivering oxygen to your body. Allow your focus to move down to your vital organs and digestive system. Just notice your belly and how it feels. Just observe it working and digesting effortlessly for you. Now notice your lower back and how it is pressed against the surface that you are on. If you feel any tension, just say, please relax. Focus on your pelvis and hips and notice any sensations. This takes you even deeper into a state of relaxation. Allow your focus to move down each leg, slowly relaxing them as well. Your legs have been taking you to so many places over the years, and they deserve to be fully relaxed. Notice this wonderful wave of relaxation moving down to your knees, to your lower legs, all the way to your feet, and every tip of each toe. Now that you've relaxed your body, I'm going to count down from 10, and with each descending number, your conscious mind will relax even more, letting go of any beliefs that are holding you back from your goal. Imagine that you are standing at the top of a set of stairs. When I begin counting, you will walk down the stair. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. It's natural for your conscious mind to give less and less importance to these words, allowing your subconscious mind to be present right now. From now on, you choose to be relaxed. You choose to be calm. You choose to be in control of all you do because your health is very important to you. Remember that it is natural for you to be healthy and happy. It is unnatural for you to have sickness and misery. Now hear yourself saying, each day, in every way, I get better and better. In order to make change, I challenge myself. Change is not comfortable. In fact, it is inconvenient. So if I feel comfortable with the change I am making, then I'm not extending myself enough. When I have a negative thought, I acknowledge it. I acknowledge that I feel this way, and then I release it. When another negative thought arises, I catch it quickly, and I say with confidence, I acknowledge that part of me that feels this way. But this thought does not help me right now. Each day, in every way, I get better and better. Whenever I am presented with feelings of stress, I know my breath is there to soothe me and guide me into relaxation. Every single day, I become more aware of all the good things going on in my community and in the world around me. When I feel that darkness is surrounding me, I know that the way to see the light is to take 3 deep breaths, relaxing my mind and body by doing so. Each day, in every way, I get better and better. In order to make great change, I challenge my thoughts. From now on, I challenge every single negative and unproductive thought that arises. From this point forward, whenever you find yourself having negative, unproductive thoughts, you will immediately say to yourself the word stop. Let me repeat that. Whenever you find yourself having negative, unproductive thoughts, you will immediately say to yourself the word stop. And as soon as you say the word stop, you will find that the negative thoughts you were having will just disappear. This gives you the opportunity to start a new positive thought process. How do you feel? Notice how you feel right now and take a note of it. Take a note of exactly how you feel right now. Start to bring awareness to the gentle rise and fall of your chest. Your breath is your purpose and this moment. Make your way back to your body. Slowly start to bring life back into your body. Keep your eyes closed as you take a big inhale. As you exhale, drop your right ear to your right shoulder. Slow with control. Just allow your head to fall heavy to the right. Resist the urge to move your head down, but just allow gravity to do the work. Enjoy the stretch through your neck. Release any tension from your face and from your thoughts. Inhale, slowly lift your head back to center. And exhale, drop your ear to your opposite shoulder. Again, just allow gravity to do the work. Release any control. Continue to allow your hands to fall heavy. Continue to relax your legs, your core, and your shoulders. Inhale, slowly lift your head back up to center. And then exhale, let something go, something that is not serving you. Maybe a worry, a stressor. Allow it to exit your body as you exhale. Inhale, puff up your chest, round your back, sit up nice and tall, lift your chin off your chest just slightly. Exhale, dome out your shoulders, pull your navel up and in, tuck your chin to your chest. Find a curve in your spine. Inhale, puff up your chest, pull your shoulder blades back and behind you. So often we spend so much time hunched over our desks, our computers, that our shoulders start to roll in. So this stretch you can do anywhere, anytime by simply just pulling your shoulders back, puffing up your chest, opening up your heart and lifting your chin. As you exhale, dome out your shoulder blades, bring movement into your spine. Find length from your tailbone all the way out your crown of your head. One last time, inhale, puff up your chest. And exhale, dome out your shoulders. Bring your head back up to center. Maybe take some neck rolls. Option here to twist your spine. Stay seated. Just twist your torso so that your heart opens to the side of the room or your space, wherever you're at right now. Just start to shake out any last bit of tension, worry, anything you're holding on to. Just add some organic movements into your body as you slowly come back. Whenever you are ready, feel free to flicker your eyes open if you haven't done so already. I wanted to thank you all for attending today's presentation. If you have any questions at all for either Sherry or myself, please feel free to contact us. So our emails are on the screen there for you, wellnesscoordinator@wellstyles.org, or you can always contact Sherry Gilbert at sgilbert@vsit.org.
Thank you, Riley. Excuse me. I'm so relaxed now. I have to get back into the groove to get through the rest of the day, but I'm definitely more relaxed and less stressed. Thank you.
Yeah, oh, sorry, Sherry.
Go ahead, Matt.
No, I was just going to say thank you both also, and just letting folks know that this was recorded, so we're going to have this on the league's YouTube page. So if you want to share this with others, we'll probably have it up either later this week or early next week. So if you go to our YouTube page, you can find it there, and you can go to our website at azleague.org to find our YouTube page. So if you want to share this, please do. And thank you again, both Sherry and Riley.
You're welcome. And we do have that self-care flyer that was on the presentation, was a little hard to read, Matt. So we will send that over to you. Or if anybody who is currently here or watching the video would like to get a copy of that, just send either Riley or I an email, and we would be happy to send that to you directly.
Great. And what I can do, Sherry, is if you send that to me, I can send it to all the participants once I get it from you. So we'll send that out.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for the opportunity to join you all today, Matt. We appreciate the league and allowing us to speak to everyone. I hope everybody has a fantastic rest of your week.
Great. Thank you, everybody. Great information. Have a
Thanks,
great
guys.
afternoon and rest of your week. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.